Lord God Almighty, you are worthy to be worshipped and praised. We pour out our hearts to you in this prayer to give thanks to whom you have brought into this world, your Son, Jesus Christ. We have reminded this Christmas season of the most incredible gift of all, Emmanuel. God is with us. You took the humble form of a man to be born in a lowly manger, become our Savior, and give us forgiveness of sin and eternal life. This past year has been a crucial year filled with pain, confusion, and loneliness. Many have lost loved ones because of the COVID virus. We pray you would comfort those who are hurting. We are grateful for the hope you have given to us through Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God, who takes away the sins of the world. When we lack wisdom to overcome life's challenges, Lord, Holy Spirit, may you grant us your presence to lead and guide us to your will. We pray this season of giving and hope would be a season of reconciliation and healing from above. Oh Lord, we believe in you and we love you. Come quickly, Lord Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Walang kasing saya ang Paskong Pinoy. Dumaan man ang problema at pandemya, kayang-kayang lampasan basta't nagdadamayan at nagmamahalan.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Tuloy na tuloy pa rin ang Pasko dito sa V81 Radio, Manila.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man, ito'y mapapakinggan.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program anchors and producers and do not necessarily reflect the policies and position of this station. Discover the best-kept secrets in metaphysics, law of attraction, science, and spirituality, and listen to practical mystics from around the world. Let's open Pandora's box with Reverend Reg Tan, your metaphysical minister, here in Practical Magic, your practical mystic source, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Satnam, everyone. My name is Reverend Reg, and I'm here again for another episode of Practical Magic. And for those of you who are asking me what metaphysics is, basically, we all have life experiences, and whatever it is that we're experiencing now, there's something that we can actually do from the inner plane that we can adjust. And I'm so excited right now because I have my friend and whom I consider my brother, and he knows about hypnosis and metaphysics, and he's going to help us with these adjustments from the inner plane so that we can actually enjoy what we're experiencing in our own personal and professional lives. But before that, I want to invite everyone for a simple affirmation. So before we start, please take a deep breath and exhale. And use your right palm to touch the heart. Take a few cleansing breaths. And let's affirm I love myself for all that I was, all that I am, and all that I want to become. I am worthy because God made me so. And let's chant Satnam 3 times. Satnam. 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 All right. So, anyway, I'm so excited because so many things that we actually want to experience with ease and with grace can actually come through us, through our habitual thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And I'm very sure that with Anthony's background, we'll all have an amazing learning experience tonight. And our guest for tonight is actually a business owner and founder, hypnotist, transformation coach, metaphysician, linguist, and forex investor. He is known as the awesome autism coach or hypnotist. Anthony helps parents who have a child on the autism spectrum, particularly business owners, relieve the daily stress and anxiety, and how they can thrive and take ownership of their own lives and mend relationships. Anthony is a huge advocate of men's holistic health. He actually believes that if men in the world can clean up their act, humanity will be in a much greater peace, will be in a much better place, and they can be in a, if it's done rightly, in a timely fashion. And when he was growing up, he was actually a college football player. He has a bachelor's degree in languages, Spanish literature, specialty in political science. He's also a certified medical interpreter and also a company president and founder. He also has a bachelor's degree in metaphysics and is also a doctoral candidate. He is also a certified metaphysical practitioner and minister and a certified hypnotist, a doting husband of, and also a father to someone who has autism. And he's also a neurotypical dad. So, a lot of people are actually raving and are grateful about his work. And some of the testimonials that I'm going to read to you, one from Melissa, I've done a couple of hypnotherapy sessions with Anthony, and each time I was taken into a beautiful meditative state. His voice and his guidance were soothing and magically healing. I came out feeling relaxed and lighter, and with a knowing that my intentions were heard and new programming was being processed into my subconscious mind. I loved it, and I'm always so thankful for our sessions. And another one from Cassie, I was so inspired to work with Anthony due to his welcoming presence. He has a calmness about him that feels safe. This is important for me when I'm doing inner work. Prior to working with Anthony, I still had some unforgiveness lodged within that was disturbing my productivity and creativity. After the forgiveness session, I received an unexpected call from my mom and was reaching to me to apologize for my childhood and how she treated me. I was floored. I truly believe this happened because I was energetically open to receive. I've already been recommending Anthony to friends and colleagues and would encourage anyone to give him a try. He's great at what he does. So that's really awesome. And, I'm so excited because probably there are certain things that we can ask him how we can improve and step up our game. So, Satnam, Anthony, how are you?
Satnam, very good. Thank you for having me on the show. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I'm pretty excited because I know you've been talking about having this interview for some time now, and we only
Yeah,
had the chance to do this. So, what's the weather like in LA now?
I'm glad I'm here. Yeah, thanks for having me. Salamat. The weather. I'm actually in the state of Washington, so I'm outside of Seattle.
Mm,
Born and raised in Seattle, so about
mhm.
2 hours north of Seattle, which is very close to Vancouver, BC. So we're just it's like right on the border of Canada. So it's around maybe 40 degrees right now.
Mhm.
It's pretty cold.
Mhm.
32 is
Wow.
freezing. So yeah.
Awesome. And we can use some cold weather right now because it's very hot here in the Philippines.
Oh yes.
And yeah, but it's December, so at night it becomes relatively cooler,
Okay.
but it can be cooler actually. So, anyway, what got you into metaphysics and hypnosis? Because I noticed that prior to this, you already had a prior college degree.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, I want to make it to the Philippines someday. I haven't yet. I grew up with an aunt from the Philippines, and so I grew up eating lumpia and pancit, and hanging out at her house.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got my degree in metaphysics. But first, I do have a degree in Spanish literature, modern languages,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
Spanish was my first love. At 12 years old, I
Mhm.
fell into love with the language, and
Mhm.
probably before that, probably 10 or 11. And right when I was able to start to study it, then I started to study it, and it's
Mhm.
just a beautiful thing for me. And from 12 years old on, I didn't stop studying it. And I was in advanced classes in high school, and then in college I'd already gotten credits for college in high school, and then I didn't know what I was going to major in, because usually people are like, okay, I'm going to be a doctor, I'll be a lawyer. I had no
Yeah.
clue. All I knew is
Yeah.
that I loved Spanish, so I
Yeah. That's
kept
so
on taking
amazing.
more and more. So I kept on taking more and more classes, and all of a sudden, okay, I guess I can get a degree in Spanish. Yeah, so
Fantastic.
that's how it
So,
went.
since you studied Spanish as a degree, is were you aware already about the power of words at that time and what it can do to shape one's experience?
Awesome question. I grew up and my father, he was an English major and very
Mm.
smart. He was a walking dictionary, and
Wow.
me not so much, right? And
Mm.
I wasn't, you know, really able to communicate with myself, really wasn't able to express things clearly and as well as I always wanted to. And my vocabulary wasn't as high as his. So, but then pretty early on in age, I realized that I didn't need to have a vocabulary as good as his. I didn't have to have all of these, high
Mm.
registry words in order to communicate something very meaningful to a
Mm.
person that could help them. And
Yeah.
um, and that's the main reason why I wanted to study Spanish, is to be able to communicate with as many people as possible. And
Wow.
for me to be able to communicate English and then, grab another language, which is the second most spoken language, or maybe I think it's
Yeah, it
second
is.
or third most spoken language in the world.
Yeah.
It just kind of, broadens your audience, so to say, to be able to, communicate and speak with as many people. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's one big reason why I got into it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing it. And you
Yeah.
mentioned about helping people. So, by help, do you mean uplifting them or something of that frequency?
Yeah, definitely. Like wherever I go, I feel like I I don't try to help people, but
Mhm.
I'm always staying at a high frequency and high vibration, because I understand, some people need uplifting. You go to the
Yeah, that's
store,
true.
there's some people that you can just tell, just walking around, they're just at a lower frequency, and they're not operating at the highest frequency, the highest vibration as they can. Whatever's going on in their life, if they're having issues at home, at school, with their parents, with their loved ones, with anyone, or just with themselves, and they just can't process what's going on, as well as other people, and they're having a bad day or whatever. So just to smile and hey, how are you? Maybe a compliment could make somebody's day, can make somebody's year, can make somebody's life. So that's how I live my whole life, is to be able to always help out with my energy and with my vibration, wherever I am and whoever I'm speaking to.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because I remember we talked about it. Even men actually would like to hear a compliment and, can use some validation. So I know part of what we're going to talk about later on supposedly was, men's health, but you brought it up. So something that I also want to clarify with you, for men, is it really important to get validated about, like simple things like looks, or, how you carry yourself, how you dress up?
Is it important for men to be validated for looks? It depends on the man.
Mhm.
A lot of times people, like, men don't care. And for the most part, like, you would think that men don't care as much as women, because we don't put makeup on, we don't,
Yeah.
spend as much time in the mirror, as women do. There are some men who, love to groom themselves, and
Mhm.
love compliments, but because it's I think it's one of the languages of love, is receiving compliments from people.
Yeah.
And just as women are, men like compliments too.
Yeah. That's
We
awesome.
enjoy
Because
compliments too.
yeah, and like you mentioned, even if they don't wear makeup on, I think men accessorize in certain ways, like watches or other accessories. So it's nice that you're bringing this up, because I'm not sure for people in your place, but here there are a lot of Filipino men who are actually quite conscious as well.
Yeah.
So how about you in your area?
Okay, so LA, we were
Mm,
talking about LA earlier. LA is very conscious of all of that. Men do put makeup on, way more than other places.
mm,
They have, the cosmetic surgery
mm,
that women, usually people think that women are the ones that have the more cosmetic surgery, but they begin Botox and all of that in their 20s and their 30s. Even
mm.
men and women in LA, but that's a total different place. The Northwest is way different. Like where we are in Seattle, I know there's the big Pinoy population in Seattle, and
Mhm.
the Seattle Tacoma area, but we're a little more laid back. We don't necessarily get dressed up as much as other places do, like New York and LA. If you know what REI is, if you've seen this style of outdoor sports, that's what we
Mm.
are. Like we're a little bit more we grungy. We have the beard. We there's people who you call hippies that
Mhm.
may not use may not shave as much. They so it's just a little bit of a different vibe. Um, there's not as many ties worn in Pacific Northwest. Even if you go to the biggest companies up here, like Microsoft or Boeing or
Mm.
Google, Amazon, like all those companies that were started around here, you go to you go to the place where people work and things like that, the
Yeah.
campus, and it's not as professional as you would think it was. I mean, there's people walking around in just t-shirts, on their
Yeah.
skateboards, so it's kind of a different vibe around here.
Awesome. So I just realized we keep talking about vibe and frequency, and I realized we really have to break it down for our viewers because not everyone is actually familiar with what we're talking about. So when you say vibe and high and low frequency, please explain it to our audience.
Wow, that's a good question. So when I just said vibe right there, I meant more like a different style, a different culture, also a different feeling and a different energy. It's as I said, it's a little bit more laid back, but in regards to, you can also bring it scientifically, like that. There's vibration, there's an energetic frequency that you can measure that you put out, to the world. I'm not sure if you are familiar with Emoto's investigation that he's done with water.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but this is he did some studies with water in which you are putting energy into water, and it doesn't matter if it's water right in front of you or if it's water across the world. Time and location has nothing to do with the power of intention. So if you put positive intention into a glass of water, if you put in positive feelings, and I'm going to say feelings and vibrations, this is where the energetic scientific part comes in. Then you put a microscope to the water, and it's going to have a beautiful appearance. It's going to look like a snowflake that you draw and that you make in school, like a really cool, awesome looking snowflake does under the microscope. It'll look the same. It'll look beautiful. If you send frequency and vibration and the energy from you that's positive, if you say, okay, happy, if you say, okay, this is about love, then it's going to look a little bit different depending on the energy and the vibration that you're sending to it. If you have another glass of water and you're sending hatred and you're sending a different vibration, a different energy, a different frequency to it, then it's going to look kind of ugly, look a little not as well put together, unattractive, and negative when you put it under a microscope. So that's kind of what I mean when I talk about vibration and frequency.
Yeah, thank you for explaining it. And I want to highlight on what we talked about earlier about you using language to uplift people when you meet them and they're not actually vibrating as high energy, because you mentioned it earlier. Actually, to us, we understand it, but there are viewers who think that what we're talking about is still a jargon.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk about the actual science that's done with water. Something that we have done in my groups, and also many people have done it, but there's been studies that have been done, kind of the same thing with water, but with plants. And you put your energy and your and your positive thoughts into a plant, and it could be in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And it will grow faster than the plant that you have maybe in the Philippines or maybe in Seattle, and you could be sending energy to it, to a plant in Seattle. And if you're sending hatred, if you're sending negativity, if you're sending things like war or I hate you, you can think about anything. If you send that energy to it, whether it just be one day or if you send a little bit of energy each day, then it will wither, as opposed to the plant. It will continue to grow and it will flourish. So scientifically, it has been proven that our energy and our thoughts create things and can impact either plants or water or even people. If it can affect a plant or water, then it definitely affects people. And it's very interesting to think about, but it gets into quantum physics and quantum mechanics. So it's all science-based, and it's all beautiful because spirituality and science is marrying more and more to the point to where things that used to be thought of as woo-woo is now actual solid science.
Thank you for sharing it. And I know that you're also a dad, and Here in the Philippines, we talk a lot about parenting with some of my clients and how are they supposed to actually raise their children, because typically for a Filipino family that's very conservative, most often than not, parents pass on a Spartan mindset to their children. And, scolding is actually part and parcel of disciplining your child here in the Philippines. So, and you're talking about the power of thoughts and the power of, the power of thoughts. And earlier you were saying about words and how you're sending energy and it affects the plants and it can also affect human beings. So I'm very sure that you also have something to say about how parents are actually able to affect the lives of their children by the power of thoughts and by the power of words that they're using to communicate and connect with their children. So please share with us how you actually, work with your kids, especially with metaphysics and hypnosis.
Wow. Okay, that's a great question. Thank you for the question. um, so I definitely because things get very real and there are very challenging situations in your family, whether it be with your spouse or with your children, trying to raise them, and putting restrictions on them if they do something wrong,
Yeah.
and really teaching them the right way to be and to live and to fear and love God, the universe. It's very important to instill those values on your child. As a parent, I definitely try to, and I not just try because tries fail. I do um, communicate with them in a very soft way, in a way that is loving and caring and compassionate and kind. Empathetic, because I understand, how it was to be a child. Some adults, we get into our routines and we go to work, and we always communicate with adults, and we forget how it was to be a child. So connecting with your inner child, connecting, remembering how it was when you were a child, is very important, so that you can have that same point of view that the child does, and you can understand where they're coming from, and how it could be challenging for them too, growing up and learning this world that we're in, and how to navigate it. So it's important for us to put ourselves into their shoes, and to have compassion for them, and what they're going through, no matter what age that they're in. Yeah.
I'm pretty amazed that you're actually devoting yourself in this topic, because I know that you're also helping other parents.
Hmm.
And I know that being a parent is not easy, because I saw my parents raise us. And there's the pressure of wanting to raise your children, but at the same time, you also have to take care of the bills. And
Yeah.
sometimes, under a lot of pressure, of course, as much as you want to be patient with your children, and then there's this pressure on the other side, with the bills to pay. How do you actually manage it? Because I know that you're a president and a CEO, and that you have to look after your kids. So it's a pretty tough, interesting adventure every day.
It definitely is. I am a president and a CEO of a small language company, and and having to, be the leader of the company, and subcontractors and employees, and simultaneously be a husband and a parent to two neurotypical children, and one children on the autism spectrum who also has ADHD. It is kind of a challenging route to take, a challenging soul path, but it's been very, very rewarding, because my son with autism, he is my biggest teacher, and my wife too, and also my kids. But because he makes me reflect on myself and what I need to work on as a man. So it's definitely a challenge, and it's not for the weary, but totally and completely worth it. And we understand. I understand what it is to be an autism parent, because I've been one for 10 years. My son's 10, almost 11 years old. He is 5'2", 5 feet 2 inches, and 160 pounds, and he is a very strong kid.
Yeah.
We have therapists coming in and out of the house all week long, and through Zoom and also in person, to help him with his communication, because he is low verbal. He is on the moderate severe side. There's a big spectrum with autism. There's a severe side, and on the other side of the spectrum is Asperger's. And Asperger's really isn't autism anymore. They kind of taken it off of the spectrum, but it's related to autism. So he's kind of more on the severe side. He does have some verbal skills. We are working on them, and it takes a lot longer for development with these children. So it's just we're presented with different challenges as autism parents. He just got potty trained in March. And at 10 years old, he had just turned 10. He was close to being potty trained, very close at 4. But then he regressed for 6 years. And we're talking about smearing on walls, getting poop smeared on sheets, and having to change him 5 or 6 times a day for years. That's just one challenge that we've been through. Just so that you guys can get a grasp of a day in the life of an autism family. Yeah. So me running a company, downstairs in a home, when my son is having a meltdown and screaming at the top of his lungs, and my wife is crying, my kids are crying at the same time, and it has gotten stressful over the years. Yet it has gotten better. And that's a big reason why I began to work on myself as diligently as I have been over the past few years.
I'm very amazed at your, strength mentally, emotionally, and how you're able to balance everything with the physical demands of being a dad, being a husband, and then being a business owner. Yeah. So I'm very sure that during this pandemic, it was a lot easier for you because you've handled so much already. So how was it actually during this season for you?
To be honest, I moved my office from Bellingham, which is, a town of about 100,000 people, 20 miles away from where we live, moved my office to my home. And so I had my employees coming into my home. There's a couple offices, here that they were in and working, and I had my office. But so I've been working at home for a little while, right? And a lot of people, this is new, telecommuting and working at home. So we've been doing it for a few years. Already, we were already used to it, accustomed to it. We've already had our kids at home school. So it wasn't as drastic of an adjustment as it was, for a lot of people. Yet at the same time, we had already been through this. We had already, I'd already been working at home with my children going to school, here at home also. So I knew that the transition was hard because we had already been through it, but we weren't going through it at the same time as, the whole world was this year.
Stay.
Yeah.
It was relatively easier because, you were juggling a lot of things already. And I'm very sure that you're on your way to becoming the next Amazon, because a lot of businesses actually started in their homes.
Yeah, right.
And what it reminds me actually is, I'm reading the book by Steve Jobs right now, by Walter Isaacson, actually the writer. He was writing about Steve Jobs and how he and Wozniak were actually building Apple at home. So I'm very sure that it's just a sign that something bigger is on the way for you, because a lot of American founders and CEOs really made it big, but they all started in their homes. So
Yeah, yeah. All started in their homes, in their garage, as they say.
yeah,
Yeah, and make it big. To be honest, I wouldn't want to be as big as they are.
why?
Um, but definitely, I want to impact as many people as possible in this life, for sure. Yep. I have one of my projects is a billion present, and my goal is to bring together a billion people to meditate. And meditation is silent prayer. And a lot of folks who are, traditional Catholics, because I grew up Catholic and my whole family is Catholic. And I know a lot of Filipinos are Catholic. To put it lightly, no, but meditation is silent prayer, and the monks and the Catholic nuns, they all meditate. They all do silent prayer.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to teach our children to meditate. Also, my 7-year-old is meditating, and she is loving it, absolutely loving it. I think that we would be able to avoid a lot of issues for children growing up, especially in adolescence, but even younger, if we teach them to to pray silently, aka meditation. So I want to be able to help people with that gift.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing it. And I think you're doing a remarkable job doing everything that you're doing in your personal and professional life. So I want to give you a big round of applause there.
Thank you.
So anyway, we have the following people. Dr. Rogesman is watching. She's saying hi from Bahrain. And earlier when you were talking about plants, she was saying energy can affect plants and water, and it definitely affects people. And she said she likes that analogy. And I think Tenny is also watching, one of our guests about 2 weeks ago. So you have a lot of people watching you.
Very
So
cool.
anyway, how is it right now in your area? Are you guys on a lockdown? Have they opened up the businesses there?
Depending on the county that you're in the state of Washington, we are getting more and more locked down, to be honest. We want to make sure that it doesn't spread during the winter time. We did have a Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
I think that was last week.
Yeah.
And what has shown is that every single time that we have one of those big holidays when the family comes together, it starts to spread wildly. So we're just trying to make sure that it doesn't. Everybody's wearing masks. Doesn't matter where you're going. Some people are wearing masks in other people's homes. Definitely wearing masks when we're in our cars, and when we're with people that are outside of our household. But they are suggesting that nobody gets together with people outside of their household without masks or period, and being in the same room. But if you need to go to work and things like that, people are doing that. But a lot of people are working from home.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing it, because now we're actually comparing notes with friends around the world, how people are managing this interesting situation about our health, and at the same time, how it's actually affecting our economy. So, anyway, we'll talk more about it. Thank you, Anthony, for all your amazing answers, and we'll pause for a short break.
Yes.
We'll be back shortly. This is Practical Magic, your practical mystic source. Only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Connected ka na ba para laging updated sa mga bagong shows, promos, trending news, viral videos, events, o patok na OPM hits? Just follow us on Facebook at V81 Radio Manila. Simple lang, itype lang ang letter V81 Radio Manila o di ba madali lang, kaya i-like at i-follow na. Coming soon on Napalm Season 3. If you rock with them, we're gonna roll them. Get ready for Napalm Music Awards because your new all-Pinoy alternative music source is about to bring the house down. Abangan at tumutok lang tuwing Sunday, 1 p.m. dito sa Napalm para sa mga updates. Dito lang yan sa V81 Radio Manila. Now back to Practical Magic, your practical mystic source. Only here on V81 Radio Manila.
Satnam, everyone. My name is Reverend and I'm here again for Practical Magic in V81 Radio, South Manila. So I have my guest, Anthony Benton Brown, and we're talking about how this whole pandemic and the state of our economy is actually affecting our personal lives, our professional lives, and is there something that we can do through the use of practical mysticism, practical magic that can help us lift our consciousness above the level of the problems or challenges that we're experiencing at the moment. And in fact, personally, I'm very excited to ask him details about hypnosis and what are actually his tips for us to help all of us keep our consciousness uplifted regardless of what's happening around us. So back to you, Anthony.
Hello.
Yes, Satnam.
Satnam.
And I know that hypnosis is one of the most powerful tools to actually help a person, especially build a stronger self-concept. And I know that when people have better self-concept, they're more confident and they feel more competent. It can actually add value to their whatever it is in their personal or professional lives that they're wanting to make progress. So what is it about hypnosis that will give someone, practical value? Let's say right now it's the pandemic and people are concerned about money. How can they actually go into that state of cool, calm, and feeling collected regardless of what's happening? Especially you're a business owner, you're a seasoned business owner. I'm sure that you've overcome a lot of challenges. What's your tip for us?
Yes. Well, yeah, hypnosis is a very powerful tool to make change, positive change in your life. So what hypnosis does is it changes your subconscious mind, and everything that happens in your life, especially the negative impacts that happen in your life, like the negative feelings and even situations that are attracted to you, all happens in your subconscious mind. So what hypnosis does is it reprograms your subconscious mind. It's kind of like, our mind is kind of like a computer. It's like a supercomputer. It's the most powerful computer that exists. We can process over 10,000 things per second, yet we don't have access to all of that because 95 to 98% of the power is held in our subconscious mind as opposed to our conscious mind. A speaking is all conscious mind. We only are conscious, are subconscious beings until 5 to 7 years old. So from 0 to 5 to 7 years old, we are subconscious beings. We don't necessarily have a conscious mind. We don't have that filter that says, this is right or this is wrong. So a lot of things that happen, and this is why it's very important as parents to plant and to cultivate the most positive seeds in our children, is because a lot of that happens, a lot of the programming happens between 0 and 5 to 7 years old when your subconscious mind is open and there is no gatekeeper. We call it a gatekeeper. between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Um, so a lot of the issues that that we have to deal with that continue to come up over and over again, these emotional traumatic situations that have happened between 0 and 7, manifest in our lives in different ways. If a teacher says that that we're not smart, or if they give that type of energy or feedback to you, and your parents do too, and so if there's a couple different seeds that have been fed and that have been watered and have been cultivated like that, then we may grow up thinking that we're not good enough, that we're not smart, and then we wouldn't get good grades in school.
Yeah.
Things like that can actually affect a child's life forever. If something even more traumatic happens, like some type of physical abuse or sexual abuse, that feeling of betrayal, that feeling of fear and anger and frustration, can come back at any time because we haven't dealt with those emotions, and we haven't replaced them, and reprogrammed our subconscious mind with positive, more uplifting things that can help us in our everyday situation. And although it's very difficult to believe, those traumatic situations, those feelings can come up at any time in any type of situation. It doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same situation in which it was started. So that's what hypnosis is. It deals with the feelings and deals with the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, a lot of times, the conscious mind has no idea, about this and what's going on. A lot of times the conscious mind has forgotten about it. Sometimes the conscious mind, the subconscious mind makes it so that the conscious mind can't remember what happened. Period. Like other times you remember what happened. You remembered, just little tidbits. Other times you remember everything consciously. So we can make the subconscious mind work for us, although consciously we are not aware that the fixes and that the positive changes are happening, which is a very powerful tool.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And this is very interesting because earlier I was reading Malcolm Gladwell's book, David and Goliath. And I was reading the part where he was saying, there are people who came from average families and they really had to work their way up, and before they're able to go to get the big breaks that they wanted, especially before these parents became millionaires and moved to Beverly Hills. And he was saying that, these parents, they work so hard to get to the level of financial prosperity that they are in right now. But then they raise their children and they totally have no idea what it feels like to work for the things, for the comfort that you actually want. So in terms of the subconscious mind and the seeds that parents are planting, what for you is the most ideal for someone to have a strong connection to the wealth consciousness or the money consciousness? Especially, we know that regardless of what's happening right now in your space, but if your subconscious mind has a strong programming about wealth and money, you're still going to thrive regardless of what's happening.
Yeah.
So what are the best seeds that parents can actually instill in their children where they can develop wealth consciousness but not make them entitled kids who's not going to work for it?
Wow. I'm going to say something. I love Rev Reg, brother. You're amazing. Amazing thinker, amazing Reverend, and just a beautiful representative for practical magic, practical metaphysics, and so thank you for inviting me on the show, and thank you for that beautiful question. Yes, definitely, it is very important to not plant negative seeds, because negative seeds can also be watered and cultivated. And and so if you plant negative seeds about wealth and about money, then your children will grow up thinking that it is evil. And I know
Yeah.
that I'm not too familiar with the Bible, although I am Catholic, and although I did go to church with my grandmother. Catholics sometimes don't read the Bible as much as other sects of Christianity.
Yeah.
And so there I know that there is a psalm that talks about a rich man can't go through the eye of a needle. No, we'll be able to go through the eye of a needle before going to heaven, right?
Yeah.
And so money doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah.
These type of things. So I'm talking a little bit about what you shouldn't be saying to children and what you should not be planting, because at the end of the day, and money is just energy. And currency has been around for a very long time, and you can do a lot of good with money, and with financial abundance in this world, as long as you have the roots and you've planted the seeds of justice, of social awareness, different things like that. That is very important for humanity to be able to evolve, right? Because when that isn't cultivated, then you get folks that begin to make a lot of money, and they have a lot of power, and then we cannot necessarily evolve as societies, humanity. Like there's big sects of government and of business that is thwarting progress in different industries, and is stopping humanities from evolving. So I think it's very important to have that awareness, whether it be environmental awareness, social awareness, and justice planted in the seeds of our children, so that we can have strong societies. But as far as money goes, yes, I mean, anybody can be abundant. I think everybody should be financially abundant in this world. I was one of those children who didn't grow up rich whatsoever. We a couple times, we had to go to the food bank, right? On assistance, on public assistance. So I understand how it is to not have a lot of resources. And I was, they did kind of teach us that that money doesn't grow on trees, and that's really difficult and challenging to get, and maybe that we didn't deserve money, and that it was evil. So when you have these seeds planted, then it's difficult to make money. And if you have an opportunity to make money, then you will self-sabotage yourself into not making it.
Yes.
So, so
Thank you for sharing it.
yeah.
I'm very amazed at you, because considering your upbringing, and now you have a small business. And I know that when you say you have a small business, it takes a certain level of a strong programming for wealth. And if you didn't pick that up in your childhood, how were you able to grow your small business from, I'm sure you had to start with yourself and then maybe grow the staff little by little. How were you able to change that programming for you?
Well, I began my business before I started actually working on my wealth consciousness, and working on financial abundance and my belief system and my false beliefs about money and about abundance. So I struggled a lot, and it was very challenging. And then, compounding that with my family situation, very stressful. And it didn't need to be that stressful. So I have used hypnosis. I have used practical metaphysics. I have used positive affirmations to work on my money consciousness. And it's to be honest, it's finally turning around over the past year. I have been
I'm so
really
happy for
focusing
you.
in on it, and it's finally turning around. Building different streams of income. For instance,
Yeah.
I just started actually building more than one or two streams of income, and people say that you need 7 streams of income.
Mm.
So talking to people about money, a lot of times I grew up and money was hush hush, like nobody would talk about it. But
Yeah.
in other societies or in other um, you know um, monetary social classes or what have you, like they talk about money a bit more.
Yeah.
So being able to be okay with saying, okay, well, I'm broke, I don't have a lot of money, or you know what, there's this opportunity to make more money. I think we should try it. Just kind of being a little bit open to it and accepting and accepting
Mhm.
it is important. For instance, if you are getting money out of the ATM, be thankful for it, be grateful for it, be appreciative of it. But if you're writing checks and if you're giving money, back to somebody in order to buy something or to pay your bills, also bless it. Also be
Yeah.
thankful for it and be grateful for it. So because there's always an in and out exchange of money. So if you also express appreciation for the going out of the money, that it can come back
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing it because, I'm very interested that we're talking about this because so many people are actually interested about this topic, and questions about money and health actually keep coming up every week, but more about money.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that you actually opened your awareness to the idea that, hey, I have to do something about this. I can't keep working and building a business
Right.
without doing some work in the inner. So, what
Mhm.
actually triggered you to do something about your uh, internal state, your programming about money and your programming about running a business? What triggered you? What was that point that pushed you, hey, I'm going to use hypnosis and positive affirmations?
Um, what triggered me was just knowing that there's more, knowing that that we weren't as financially abundant as we could be, and just really realizing that, okay, I really need to do something about it, because for some reason, I can make a lot of money, yet it kind of goes very easily too, and I want to be able to make more money, and I want to be able to save more money. So how am I going to do this? All right. What type of tools have I learned over the past 10 or 13 years of studying practical metaphysics and getting my bachelor's in metaphysics and working on all of these different exercises that I've done, for myself, and then working with other people. Okay. Well, let's do hypnosis. Let's do hypnosis about saving money. Let's do, some listen to some MP3s about manifestation, about um, um, let's see, about resilience, about the long game, about long term, about manufacturing different money streams, different streams of income.
Mhm.
So hypnosis has helped a lot, and then also just using positive affirmations about money.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
thank you for sharing it. So, what was that? What happened? Did someone tell you about hypnosis? Did you discover it in YouTube or something?
besides hypnosis, I've done a lot of visualization, and
Mm.
and visualizing, and I'm also a very strong auditory person, so I hear things, and then I feel things very strongly. So it's also kinesthetic. I had to work on my visualization. A lot of people are very strong with their visuals. When they close their eyes, they can see, movie motion pictures in their mind's eye. I've had to work on that myself. So I never, like, I've worked on manifesting other things. I worked on manifesting my house. I
Wow.
one day I was like, okay, we need a house. We need a beautiful house, and I wasn't able to do it visually too well, about 4 or 5 years ago. So I just put an image in my head. Like, if you can't really see those movie motion pictures like some people, just get an image and have it in your head, and close your eyes and visualize that, and put in as many positive emotions into it as you can when you're doing this for 5 or 10 minutes a day. and until it becomes something that is bothersome to do, then you just leave it because you're done with it and it's going to happen. Okay, I'm talking about manifestation now because I've done a lot of that. A month later, I've got money for a down payment. A month after doing the exercise, month later, I've got a down payment, and we heard about this house that was on the street that we just loved to live on. We'd rented on the same street, and all of a sudden, this house comes up and available. We go see it, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's huge, it's amazing, we love it. All of a sudden, the money kind of falls into our lap. Okay,
Wow.
we're going to buy it. It's the perfect opportunity. And it wasn't necessarily the house that I had imagined. You imagine one thing, but you don't necessarily get that exact thing that you're imagining. For the most part, you get something that's better, that's perfect for your situation, and that makes you even happier than you would have been if you got the exact same thing that you were imagining and you were visualizing to manifest. So I had never worked on manifesting money until last year. And that's the thing. Like I have, like, while you were talking about, I was a college football player. That's one thing before I even knew about law of attraction, before I knew about anything, because The Secret hadn't came out, and I really wasn't reading these types of books when I was younger. But in high school, I was like, I'm going to play college football. Period. I'm going to play college football, and that's all I wanted to do. I never said I'm going to play professional football. That wasn't in my career, my soul path, only to play college football. And I did that. Okay, great. I manifested that. I did watch The Secret in 2006 or 7, right when it came out. Lisa Nichols, she's one of my coaches now. She brought me to tears. I mean, everybody in that movie was absolutely amazing. And so I began to get into the law of attraction, metaphysics, mysticism, started to read. The Purpose-Driven Life is a Christian self-development book that I read right around there too. I don't remember if it was before or after the movie, but then I said, okay, I want to manifest the woman of my dreams. So I wrote down, everything that I wanted out of a woman, on a list. I put it in a drawer somewhere, and I look at it maybe like once a week or something. A month and a half later, I come up to Blaine, in the city where I live in right now, to a ribbon cutting event of my cousins, and I meet his wife's little sister, who I hadn't seen since 1989, and I forgot she even existed. But we hit it off. We hit it off so hard, and I looked at that list, and she fulfilled everything on that list, and since then, it's the rest is history. That she's my wife, and, she's the mother of my 3 children. So manifesting law of attraction and things like that is real. And you just have to know how to do it.
Yes, thank you so much. And we'll learn more about how to do it later. But for now, we'll pause for a short commercial.
We'll be back shortly. This is Practical Magic, your practical mystic source. Only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Are you ready to explore a new kind of music? Yung bang kakaiba na hindi mo pa napapakinggan, mga bagong artist? Nagugulat sa inyo sa kanilang awit at tugtugan.
Hindi mo lang, akala mo
Discover them, hear them in Napalm Hour. Ang Napalm ay ang new all-Pinoy alternative music source na para sa kakaibang musika. Alternative artists and bands all the time. Catch them at Napalm Hour. Mondays through Fridays, 12 noon to 1 p.m. and 8 to 9 p.m. Streaming live on V81 Radio mobile app. Kaya i-download mo na for free. Now na! Now back to Practical Magic, your practical mystic source. Only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Satnam, everyone. My name is Reverend and I'm back again for Practical Magic here in V81 Radio South Manila. And I have Anthony Brown to talk about the law of attraction, the movie The Secret, and also how can hypnosis actually help a person demonstrate what they're praying for or what they're desiring. Back to you, Anthony.
Awesome. Yes. We're back. So yeah, we were talking about law of attraction, manifesting what you want in life, and how it is possible, and it's basically connecting with God, and all it is, because God is within every one of us. So learning how to do that is really learning how to pray positively, and pray in a different way, because a lot of times I think we pray in a negative way. Attracting possibly negative results that we don't necessarily want to see with fearful vibrations, frequencies, which are emotions. Yeah. So
for sharing it.
So I think you had asked me about how I had approached money and attracting it. I started to do the same thing as I did, everything that I had tried to manifest before. One thing that has been, you don't necessarily manifest everything you want, or you try to, because I have tried to, I've tried to manifest like cures for my son for autism, and different treatments, and every time I have manifested a different treatment that I had no idea that existed, and that I hadn't read about. And I thought every single time I'd already done all the reading, and then and nobody had ever told me about these different, types of treatments. And so we have tried, many different types of treatments, and he has gotten better over the years. But it's just, if it's not a part of your soul path, and if you try to manifest it, then it may not happen. And it's just like a prayer. If you pray for something, especially if you are not necessarily praying in the correct way, then it won't happen. And even if you are, sometimes it just doesn't happen. But for money, I just did it the same way as I tried to manifest anything else that I have had success with. And then, a month later, I stumble across, I go to, Vancouver, BC, and to a networking event, and somebody's inviting me to the tallest building in Vancouver, BC at the penthouse to, talk about this opportunity. So like, okay, this works. So I go up there, and I learn about Forex, and I learn about, trading and about a opportunity to learn about it, to take classes and to learn a skill, of trading, because it is a skill, right? And there's schools, to learn about Forex trading. So, but it was also an opportunity to bring people into the school. It was a network marketing opportunity, and I just chose to learn how to trade. And it's been a pretty lucrative experience, and that was about a year ago. And I'm actually learning how to make money off of the markets, and I have been successful with it, so it's fun.
Yeah, thank you for sharing it. And actually, we have a couple of questions here from Dr. Ro, who's watching all the way from Bahrain.
Yeah.
And she was saying, what's the importance of hypnosis to quieting the subconscious mind? And she has other questions, which I will read to you. But for now, let's answer her question.
So what was the question again? Hi, Dr.
What's
Rowe.
the what's the importance of hypnosis to quieting the subconscious mind?
Okay, to quiet the subconscious mind. What's the importance of hypnosis to quiet the subconscious mind? So, yeah, you can definitely quiet the mind with hypnosis. First of all, I am a certified hypnotist, and although we do help people, with hypnosis and get into a state of hypnosis, which is just a different brainwave activity. I know that there's, a camp of people who think that hypnosis is something that is possibly bad or evil or being able to manipulate people, because you see these hypnosis shows like there's a Las Vegas shows, and there's the shows at the county fairs that we have here in the United States, and I'm sure that in other countries there's these hypnosis shows. There's stage shows, and stage hypnosis is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Clinical hypnosis is another. Clinical hypnosis is actually helping people with phobias. It's helping people, with traumatic experiences and people who can't sleep, who take pills. You can help people actually stop taking pills for anxiety, stop taking pills for depression, stop taking pills for sleep, because we are repairing the subconscious mind. And so, for Dr. Rowe's question, everything that we do in hypnosis is helping the subconscious mind calm down. Being in hypnosis is helping the subconscious mind be at ease. 15 minutes of hypnosis is with 15 minutes of hypnosis, you can get the same benefits of 5 hours of sleep. So 1 hour of hypnosis is definitely the same physiological benefits as a whole night's worth of sleep. So just that is very interesting, and it shows you that that it is immensely therapeutic, and it relaxes you substantially. So yeah, people just come for that reason. I've had quite a few clients that have been able to sleep the whole night. Have been able to actually get off of their sleeping pills. Have been able to get off of the mood disorder pill because because of hypnosis. So it definitely helps. It definitely helps.
Yeah, thank you for that. And another question that she's asking is do you do it with your eyes half closed or closed?
With hypnosis, you have your eyes closed. There's ways to get you into a deeper hypnosis state of mind that you use when your eyes are open. But at the end of the day, your eyes are closed. Yes. There's different brain waves that you can get into. We're usually in beta, when we're talking, when we're conversing and things like that and working, we're in the beta wavelengths. When we close our eyes, we're immediately in alpha brain waves. So if you hook up and I forgot what the monitor is, but it's a monitor in which you hook up to your forehead, and you can see which of the brain waves are happening. And when you close your eyes, you're automatically in hypnosis, right? In alpha. So theta is the next one that you get into. That's brainwave activity that you get into, and that's when it's REM, it's rapid eye movement, sleep. But you can be in theta and still be awake and still be conscious, or at least halfway conscious, and you can be streaming thought or having dreams, having daydreams while you're listening to me, in a hypnosis session at the same time. You're also in theta when you are walking, for instance, and you are having all these creative thoughts happening when and it's just like it seems to happen out of nowhere when you get these beautiful thoughts. And they say that is connecting with all that is. That is connecting with God in the theta brainwaves. The next state of brainwave activity that you can get into when you're hypnosis is called delta, and that is when you don't remember anything in a hypnosis session. It's the when you were asleep. It's the deepest brainwave level activity. And of course, there's different variants in how deep you are. So that's when our clients go into hypnosis and they don't remember parts of the session, or they don't remember the whole session when they go into delta brainwave activity.
Awesome, fantastic. I like what you're sharing because I know that it can really save a person's time, effort, and money when they're able to have a session. And I'm pretty amazed at what you're sharing because I know that I always felt that metaphysics, energy healing, and hypnosis as part of the umbrella of metaphysics is actually a good investment, especially if you have someone who has the wealth of experience to do the session with you. So I'm very sure that with all the reviews of your clients, they can actually, get the maximum benefit of it. And how shall they keep in touch with you, or how shall they connect with you if they want to have a session with you?
Sure, definitely. I'm on Facebook, Anthony Benton Brown. That's my middle name, Anthony Benton Brown. I'm on Instagram at Anthony Benton Brown. Email is info@synergyheals.com. So just feel free to get a hold of me at any time. My main client. Yeah, my main clientele are parents who have kids on the autism spectrum, but I definitely do have clients that don't. And if you go to anthonybrown.com and you look at services, there's a list of different things that you can solve, or you can help achieve with hypnosis.
Yeah.
And it's faster. A lot of times it's faster than therapy, and all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So once you come to do sessions with me in hypnosis, then we also teach you sessions that you can do with yourself.
Yeah. Thank you for that. It's very interesting. And I'm going to ask Ralph to flash something on our ad board because I know you have something for the audience.
Yeah. So just go ahead there, and that's the tinyurl.com, Anthony Benton Brown. If you put your email address there, then I'll send you a MP3 for relaxation and anxiety release and relief.
Yes, amazing. And actually, Dr. Ru has comment here. Anthony, I remember you when I watched The Queen's Gambit, the main character named Elizabeth used hypnosis before her game. She's a famous chess player. She's imagining her moves and she knows she's gonna win. And yeah, she won, if not all most of the games. So anyway, I know that other people are also watching the Queen's Gambit, so it's awesome. What can you say about it?
Yeah, so I played college football, and sports psychology is huge, and I should have gotten way more into it, when I was younger. But all the professionals use sports psychology. There was one, I don't know if he was a coach, he was a life coach, or if he was a sports psychologist, but he would he taught something to us. And I guess this was probably one of the first things that I had learned about, law of attraction, manifestation, visualization is imagine yourself making plays. IYMP. Imagine yourself making plays. And so that's what we would do. I was a receiver in football. So I would imagine myself doing my different routes and turning around and catching the ball and running for a touchdown. Kind of the same thing as that chess player. If you imagine the moves, and if you've already figured it out for yourself, and you've imagined what the other players are going to do, in football, if you imagine that the defensive back is going to go this way when you fake this way, and then you go the other way to catch the ball, then that's what's going to happen, and you've already done it, right? And if you can perceive it, you can achieve it. So your imagination is reality. And I do believe in parallel universes and the infinity of it all, the infinite parallel universes of it all. Every single billionth of a second is a different universe that could go any way. So it's just tapping into the energy of and the reality of a different consciousness in a different universe, and tracking it to yours. And so if you are thinking about success, and if you are imagining yourself having that success, then you're way more likely to have it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing it. And I love it that you played football, because back then, although we can't really play football here in the Philippines because they're very careful for women, but I enjoyed watching players for flag football.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is
It's
really
fun.
awesome. And it
Yeah.
is. I enjoyed watching a lot of football games. I watch a lot of movies with sports. It brings your adrenaline up, and then you're just in the zone, even if you're just a spectator. So I know for sure that people are actually making use of it more wisely now, even with the SEA Games last year in the Philippines. Some of the coaches that I met for athletes and my client as well, we talked about this a lot, priming your brain and seeing yourself actually making it. So it's nice to have you share it from your personal experience and your personal take on it right now, even looking back in your career as a college football player.
Yes.
So, anyway, thank you so much, Anthony, for sharing a lot of your wonderful work in your professional life, in your personal life. And kudos to you, because I know you're juggling a lot. So, congratulations to your wife as well.
Thank you, Salama.
Yeah, it seems that you're, doing a lot for the family. And Filipinos actually love, uh, we're very family oriented, and we like it that we have this devotion to our family, even if it's, pretty stressful at times,
Mhm.
especially with what's happening right now. So kudos to you.
Thank
And
you.
at the same time, I know that you also have a lot to share about University of Metaphysics. So we want to invite our viewers to check the website. But before that, I want to thank Unity Philippines and Benedictine International School for being one of my sponsors, especially in the beginning when I was starting out with Practical Magic. And the next slide, please. Here's our university. Anthony, I know you have so much to share about your experience. Please go ahead.
Yeah. The University of Metaphysics, University of Sedona, has been great. It was amazing, and that was something that I manifested in my life. Um, I stumbled upon somebody who was in a university, and she's been Dr. Sue. She's um, been instrumental in just somebody who I've looked up to, and she's in metaphysics, and she's also a doctor, Dr. Sue, but she's a doctor in criminology, and she's a lawyer also, but she's getting her master's and her doctorate in metaphysics, and I'm going for the same thing, and this is exactly what I needed in my life. I had already been studying it for many years, but actually making it formal, and everything that I've learned so far, and giving me an opportunity to have a master's and a doctorate is fantastic, and in something that I love, which is metaphysics and mysticism. So
So,
yeah, you should
uh,
get into the university.
and at the same time, I want you to share your experience about the tuition fee is actually very affordable. I was so surprised by it. Were you surprised by it?
Yeah, very affordable. It's awesome. Yeah, $25 a month. You can't beat that.
Yeah. And we've had this online university system prior to what's happening right now. A lot of people are just getting into the online business, but Dr. Masters, the founder of University of Metaphysics, always had this vision in mind. That's why we have graduates in over 120 countries. So we
Yeah.
encourage our viewers to visit the website www.universityofmetaphysics.com, and please move on to the next slide. And I also want to thank our guests for the first season, Dr. Anita Caprice, Dr. Diana Vihuni, Dr. Cindy Palos, Dr. Yolanda Dukes. And Stephen and Tene Pasmaina and Dr. Kathleen Riley from Heart Math. You know, we feel so awesome having all of you in the show. Thank you so much, Anthony. And also, I want to thank my co-producers, Sir Rolly, Sir Charlie, our staff, Abby and Ralph. And Dax, I know you're also watching. And also, Dr. Rowe, thank you so much for being consistent in joining us every week. And you can also follow up with Anthony for whatever other services that he has. And at the same time, before we end, I just want to invite everyone for a prayer of protection. So together, let's affirm the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is and all is well. And so it is. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And I trust that you're going to keep watching us every week as we learn more about metaphysics and its practical value in our day to day lives. And at the same time, remember, you are the magic you've been waiting for. Satnam.
Satnam.
Consistently delivering the very best in metaphysics here in Practical Magic, your practical mystic source. Till next time, only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Walang kasing saya ang Paskong Pinoy. Dumaan man ang problema at pandemya, kayang-kayang lampasan basta't nagdadamayan at nagmamahalan.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Tuloy na tuloy pa rin ang Pasko dito sa V81 Radio, Manila.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man, ito'y mapapakinggan. Oh, V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko. V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Dahil mahal namin kayo. V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Para sa inyo ito, V81 Radio.